I wanted to come today and give my opinion on the most recent episode of Secret Invasion. I didn't intend to do a review or commentary on episode 4, but seeing how I posted a video about the Nick Fury character the day before the 4th episode came out, I thought I should come back and give my feelings on it, and whether I felt like they've done some justice to the Nick Fury character, or whether we're still dealing with the same issue of deconstructing this character. Just warnings, there are spoilers involved in my commentary on episode 4. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you haven't seen it yet, then I would say stop now, go watch the episode, and then come back and listen to my commentary. I guess the first thing I want to start with, again, I mentioned that I've did a video before about this, and I talked about how they have deconstructed the Nick Fury character. And the first 3 episodes spent time destroying the mystique, destroying the hope that we had that over the last 30 years within the MCU, since the time that we saw him in Captain Marvel, we had hoped that the Nick Fury that we had come to see in the movies, in the Winter Soldier, that resourceful Nick Fury, that tough Nick Fury, the one that always has a plan and a backup plan and a backup plan. And so it's like we were hoping that that's the Nick Fury we would get. Did this episode redeem him a little bit? And I could say in a way, and I want to reemphasize, an episode can be good and bad at the same time. It can have many good elements, and it can also have some elements that aren't so good. And this episode, we seem to have the old Nick Fury back. He has his plans, his counter plans, and again, spoilers, we see him save the president. He comes in with the troops. He comes in himself. He's risking his own life. He and Talos, they're taking on his emo son, Gravik, son-in-law. And so it's the old Nick Fury in a way. But the problem is we still have those first 3 episodes that are forever etched in our mind. So it's a little bittersweet, but it is good. And I want to say here again, the dialogue scenes between Fury and the other characters, between Gravik and the Council, all of these are well done. They are well written. The actors and actresses are doing fine jobs. And in this episode, we get more flashbacks to Nick Fury and his wife, and we find out that she was an agent from the start, but it seems like she was really interested in him. She wanted the assignment, and she actually grew to have feelings for him. And again, the flashback scenes, the current scenes, the acting, all of that was fantastic. I'm not taking anything away from the writing. I'm not taking anything away from the actors. My only concern is with all of that awesome talent, why did we have to write the Nick Fury background as we did? That's the only question. And as I listen to other reviewers and reactions, there are some reactors that I follow on YouTube and Patreon, and there seems to be a consensus that we have 2 Nick Furies. We have the one that we wished we had, that we thought we had in the early movies, and then we have the one that was post-Captain Marvel. And the writing of this one seems to pick up the post-Captain Marvel Nick Fury and moves him forward. We still don't know what he was doing on the space station. And I'm going to talk about that in a while, but I don't want this to be a long video. I just really want to give my comments on the episode. I like the action in it, but again, I'm not one of the people that needs to have action to feel like I'm having a good time. I don't like the term slow burn. I like the dialogue scenes. I like to think through the implications. I like to be there with the characters in the moment, feel what they feel, see their side of it. And again, maybe because I'm a writer, I don't know, but I like those things. I was one of those people that loved Andor when it came on. I did not feel like it was a slow burn. I saw what the showrunner, Tony Gilroy, was doing. Basically, every 3 episodes had his own story arc, and he was building to it. I loved all that stuff. I love seeing the bottom level of the Empire. I love seeing new characters who were at the bottom level. I didn't need the Jedis. I didn't need the pew-pews and explosions and all those things. I loved it. So I'm not one of those people that use the term slow burn. I like the pacing. I like the intensity, and I'm going to talk on that intensity in this show later because of what they did with the Emilia Clarke character. And again, spoilers. So having the action, it was fine. I liked it. But for me, I already liked the pacing of the show. I like the quiet intensity. I like the grittiness of it. I like that it's Earth based. So I thought this episode it extended that. We finally see Gravik and Nick. They have their matchup again, and so we get to see a little bit of the old Nick Fury, the ingenuity, the thinking two steps ahead, and it's showing that he can outthink his emo stepson. I'm going to keep calling him his stepson because that's basically what he is. And so I did like this episode, and I did say in my review that I was going to keep watching just to see what they do with the character and just to see how the show ends. Like I said, I've watched all the shows. I've watched all the movies, and there are some that I absolutely didn't like, but I at least saw what they were doing so that I could keep abreast of what the MCU is doing. I know there are some people who say they tapped out and they're not going to give Marvel their money or their time and stuff like that, but still everybody tends to do videos about the shows and the movies, whether they pay money to see it or not. So it's still a lot of people's bread and butter, it seems like. So why not just go ahead and watch it so you can at least say you watched it and you can give your review. So yeah, I think this episode was another strong episode. Again, I love the flashbacks, and it's kind of ironic that for Nick Fury, and I talked about the lack of development for the black characters, Nick Fury is perhaps getting some of the most character development. We're seeing his background, but I have to say, if Nick Fury's defining character moment, if the thing that broke him was the snap, why haven't we seen him deal with the post-snap, the coming back? And I don't know if they're going to show it in the 5th episode or the 6th episode, but Marvel has done that before. In the first Disney Plus show, WandaVision, we had the character of Captain Rambeau, played by the lovely Tiana Paris. We see her come back from the snap. We see the chaos. We see her trying to deal with it, to deal with the fact that her mom is now dead. We see her go to Sword installation, and we see her try to fit back into a world that is now 5 years older and beyond where she last remembered. And that all leads to her getting the mission to go to Westview, and that's how she gets involved in everything. The audience loved seeing that level and attention to the snap because we hadn't really seen it. The Spider-Man movie almost treated it as a joke in a way, seeing people just pop back in. But that show gave us a really good look at what it means on a personal level for somebody to be snapped and then come back and don't know what the hell's happening. We saw it yet again in the Hawkeye series. And again, I know that the fans and the audience loved it. I liked seeing these sequences. We see the Yelena character played by Elizabeth Pugh. I'm sorry, not Elizabeth Pugh, Florence Pugh. Don't kill me for that. She snapped away, and immediately she comes back, and we see her having to deal with the aftermath of having been snapped away, coming back, and 5 years have passed. And in her particular case, before she snapped, she was looking forward to getting together with her sister, Natasha. She looked forward to getting together with her sister, Natasha. She snapped away. She comes back. She finds out it's 5 years later, and she finds out that her sister is dead. Again, you're setting up the characters' mentality, their outlook, what they're going to do, how they're going to fit into this new future. We are told over and over and over again that the snap broke Nick Fury and that he went to hide out on the Saber space station. But yet the show hasn't shown us that moment. I want to see that moment. If that's the one, the defining moment that broke the character of Nick Fury, I want to see that moment. You've already shown it to us before. You can show it to us again. The special effects, you can do that with your eyes closed, Marvel. Show us that moment. Show him coming back. Show him figuring out what he's going to do, his contingency plans, and him getting together, and him, if that's the case, him going off to the space station. We don't even know what he's doing on the space station. Like the episode, but I'm still saying there's some character development, some character moments that we really want to see that we haven't seen yet. The other thing I want to say about this episode, and again, it's not going to make this a long video, is the Emilia Clarke character, Gaia. When Maria Hill was killed, it was sudden, it was shocking, and we couldn't believe it. And then they told us, no, she's dead. And we see the coffin, the mom. All of that was hard hitting. And it also put us on notice that anybody in this show can die. I feel like what they did with the Gaia character kind of nullified that by having her, and again, spoilers for anybody, by having her survive being shot when you tried to make people think that she was dead, you kind of nullify that, oh no, anybody can die in this series. And personally, I don't think that was the best way to go about it. And the reason I say that, again, I watch response videos from other people who watch these shows, and it's interesting that most people, after being initially shocked that, not that Gravik shot her, because we could see that coming a mile away, which is another reason why it wasn't as effective. We all knew that he was going to take her out. He even said to her dad, "You're lucky I don't send her back in a box or a casket or whatever." It wasn't a shock. And then once people got over the actual act, of him doing it, it's like they immediately begin to say, well, she can't be dead. First of all, Emilia Clarke is immensely well known, and most people don't feel like she actually got her full treatment in this series. And it's like, so most people are saying, well, she can't be dead. Nobody was really believing that. And then in the beginning of this episode, we see that no, she isn't, because she upgraded herself with the extremist DNA or whatever. And I really felt like, well, there was no need to really drag that out. You could have just had that in the last episode. Because with Gaia, the whole thing is what brings us into Gaia's story. We all know she's in danger. We all know that Gravik suspects her. She knows that. What we wanted to see was her to outsmart him, and that's what she did. The fake death and the cliff, we didn't need that because none of us believed that. What we wanted to see is, okay, how are you going to get out of this situation? And she did. And what I say, and you can tell me what you think in the comments or whatever, the way I look at it, I wish they had showed her sneaking in, getting the memories from the human scientists, figuring out a way to get the Skrull versions out, because we've seen those the Skrull husband and wife team always there, but suddenly they're gone. Why? That whole sequence could have been immensely enjoyable to watch because we would see her outthinking Gravik. Okay? She could have gone in, figured out a way to get them out of there, some kind of distraction or whatever, goes in and she steps into that stupid machine and she uses it. We want to see somebody use the machine. I mean, maybe I'm the only one, but I don't think I am. I think we all want to see somebody use the damn machine. And you don't have to, and don't say that it's too expensive for special effects. You don't need special effects. It looks like it's all practical. They actually built it. They have the lights built into it. They can turn them up to any level they want to. Just have her step into the machine, start the process, have those lights flare on. And if you need to animate something or have a special effect, show the computer screen counting down to extremist, DNA change complete 100%. That's all you have to do. And then you cut back to her as the lights dim and you see her there emoting because she's a good actress. And she's looking at herself and she's changed. She's now a super Skrull. That's all you had to do. And at that moment, we would have been cheering with her because okay, yeah, she's out thinking Gravik. And now if he tries anything, he's going to be, we're actually anticipating him trying to kill her. And then you could have had him shoot her, and then she's laying on the ground, just as you did, and we're looking at it, and then we was like, well, wait a minute. She just took the upgrade. What's happening? Give us that moment of doubt like you do in the beginning of this, but have it at the end of the last episode. And then she stirs, and she sits up, and you see that, okay, the treatment that she went through worked. We're cheering for her. She outsmarted the villain. Now we can't wait to see what she's going to do in the next episode. The cheap cliffhanger ending, or is she dead or is she not? Most people, again, I'm watching people respond, and most people's like, nah, she can't be dead. She's too popular of an actress. She hasn't really done everything we can see that she's going to do in this thing. So yeah, to me, it was a cheap way to do it. And then you just have in a flashback to show her quickly using it. It's like, no, that could have been a wonderful scene to have because that's why we're following her. We're cheering for her to outsmart Gravik and find a way to do her job and also to escape and not get killed. Other people might not feel that way, but I would have much rather have watched her sneak in and use the machine, and we actually see somebody use the machine. Now, we might see that in episode 5 and 6. I don't know. But just me personally, those are my thoughts on the episode. Again, the writing is good. The intensity is good. We can't undo the belittling of the Nick Fury character, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do, because I have a feeling that they're not going to be able to solve this issue, and it's going to bleed over into films and other TV shows if Marvel can, get back to tying stuff together. That remains to be seen. But those are my thoughts on the 4th episode. It's a good episode. If you're watching it, I would say continue watching. I'm going to continue watching it to the end. And I will see you next time.